Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great today. Alright, so we got a bonus video today, which means that I'm showing you how to do something or showing you something within my business creative life. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to applique on mesh into a bodice. I do this basically on every single one of my costumes, and it just, I feel like, gives me the best finished look when I do it. So it's super easy. But you have to take your time and be very, very careful. This is the most careful step you have to take because you're getting close and cutting things away. So I'm going to show you that. Now I'm going to be doing it on a costume that is for Baton Twirler, and I'm going to be coming out with that video on Friday. So make sure you check out if you want to see the full start to finish of the costume that I'm going to be showing you how I do the applique mesh on. Check it out on Friday and you'll see the start to finish of design to reality. So please check that out. Okay, I'm going to move you over to my cutting table and we will start talking about how I start the process of appliquing mesh on. Now I will also be showing a secondary dress when I do it. First one will be with nude mesh, the second one will be with colored mesh because I do them just slightly differently. All right, so I'm going to take you over to my cutting table so that we can start the process of adding nude mesh to the bodice. All right, I'm ready to show you how to applique on your mesh pieces to your bodice. Now I'm using today a leotard that will be coming out in a video, this full start to finish on Friday. So check that video out. But I have it already put together. So I have the liner, I have the colored lycra, and then I have a layer of mesh that's on top, and then I have zigzagged around the edges so that everything stays in place. All right, so, and I've also drawn on style lines. Now with the style lines, I like to draw them on with this blue Mark Be Gone pen by, I believe it's by Dritz. We'll have this linked down below in the description. But I draw on all the style lines with this pen, and this pen, once it gets wet, it disappears. So I draw it on so you can see all the style lines. So these are the style lines that we're going to be following today. So basically what I do is I get my pins, and now these are my favorite pins. These are also Dritz, and they have little color pearl heads on them, but they're easy to hold on to with those pearls. So I will also have those linked down below if you would like to use the same pins as me. Now remember, when you buy anything from my Amazon store or click on one of the affiliate links below in one of these videos, it does not charge you any more than what you would normally pay on Amazon. It just gives me a little bit of kickback. So if you want to help me and you want to support the channel, go just click on those links and buy those supplies, and it gives me a little bit of kickback and just helps me out with doing these videos. All right, so I have my nude mesh piece. Now, when I am doing a separate piece from the bodice, I will do 2 zigzags on it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just lay this out over top and make sure I'm hitting all of the pieces that are going to be cut out. So this one has, up top, it has nude, but then it also has a nude cut out on the side. So I know that you may think that this is wasting fabric. It maybe is, but this is just the way that I do it. So please don't comment that I'm wasting fabric. I've had those comments before, but it's just part of the job for me of getting it done. So I'm just going to put it on so that I'm getting all those pieces, and then I'm just going to pin down all around those style lines that I've drawn on to the lining. I can just go all the way around, and then this just helps keep everything in place. It helps keep everything, you want to make sure you're going through the whole thing, because then it's keeping that mesh on the front, which can move around a little bit, I'm sure, as you guys know if you have worked with it. So it's just keeping everything in place. So we'll just go around, get everything. Now I've got it all pinned on, and I can just chop off the top. And I'll use this piece for the back. All right, so I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and I will show you how I zigzag it down. It is super easy. Basically, if you can follow a line, you can do this. So just a warning. Super easy. Easy, easy, easy. All right, here we go. I'm going to take it over. All right, we're sitting down at my sewing machine. Now I use a Bernina, I use the B215 as my main machine. This is what I put my color on, the color that I'm working with. So today we're working with purple, so I have purple thread on. Now I will use a zigzag, so I push the zigzag over here, and then it automatically, just with this machine, it's going 3 over, and it's going about 1.5 up. I like to change it going up. I like to change it to about a little over 2.5. Like almost 3. So it's almost 3 and 3, but just a little, maybe a little under right there. And then I also have this wonderful little table that you can take on and off, because the reason why I love using home machines is that with the industrial ones, they just have a flat table like this, and so you have to sew flat. But I like being able to get down into these pieces on parts of the dress. So like I can have my hand down here and sew, right? But when I'm doing these applique works, it's nice to keep it nice and flat. So I have this little table that just slides in, makes it super easy. So if you can get one of these with your machines, I highly suggest it when doing this applique work, because then it leaves a little bit of a flatter space. Whereas when you have this out, it's going to be drooping over the sides and it's kind of hard to see. So this just kind of keeps it a little more stable with it being in. All right, so what I'm going to do, we'll start on this little piece. So as you can see here, I have this style line here. So I'm going to do 2 zigzags. So I'm going to start up here, got it on my zigzag, and you can sew over pins. So sometimes I'll sew over pins unless they're kind of going at an angle. I don't want to get them cut, but you can pull them out, you take your time. But I'm just going to follow that line. It's just like following, you know, easy peasy line. Pull your pin out. And I kind of am stretching the fabric slightly just so that it lays nice and flat on this table. So I'm almost keeping my hands like this just to make sure that it doesn't get bunched up or pulled over to one side. So just like that. Just follow that line. I'm going to go down, I'm going to twist, and then I'm going to go back up. See, I just put a little tension on the fabric so that everything stays nice and flat. Now when I come back, because this is a separate piece, I'd like to do 2 zigzags, because if for some reason one of the zigzags on this outer line breaks or tears or whatever, if you only had one line, then you would get a hole in the fabric. So this is just kind of a reinforcement going along. Now I like to keep, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try to do a little zoom, but there's a little on my foot, there's right here on this edge, that's kind of where I want to keep it along that edge. So try to keep it as even as possible, because that's what will look nice. It doesn't look good when you're doing the second line and it's kind of going in and out and it's not evenly placed next to this other zigzag. So I'm going to try to keep it as evenly placed by keeping the edge of where this opening is in the foot to the edge of this zigzag here. And just continue to pull the fabric, just kind of put tension on it. Now when you get down to the end, you'll want to go past, because you're kind of trying to make a V down here, right? So you're going to go slightly past. You're not going to just go here and then go over and then go up. You want to kind of continue the V down. So I'm going to go past where this zigzag was. Like that, and then I'll put my foot down, and then I just twist it, turn, and then go up the other side. Then you snip it off. All right, I'm gonna do these pieces up here. I'll speed it up, and then we can cut it all away, and I'll show you how I do that. All right, now we've got all of our zigzags on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around these pieces that we're going to cut out, and I'm going to trim away the mesh. So I'm just following it like I'm cutting out the pattern, just following the line with the mesh. And then once I get to there, then I can go in the insides and just trim away. I just kind of put my, I've been doing it so long that I can just kind of trim it real quickly, but I just put the edge of my scissor, and I'm going on, I guess the zigzag is going to be on this side, on the right side, and I just put the edge, and I just kind of pull with this hand, and it kind of puts a little tension right there on the edge. It's kind of a, you know, you got to kind of figure out the technique exactly how you want to do it. Just kind of very easily trim away all the edging. And there we have it all cut away. Now we need to cut out all these parts. So you got to be very careful with this. So you're going to turn around to the front. It's always hard when you're going into these deep, what I call rivers. So I basically just put my scissor in there, in between the mesh and then the lycra piece that we're cutting out. And I feel like I'm almost pulling up with my scissor like this. So I'm not cutting down so that I'll cut the mesh. I'm almost cutting up into this part. So I'm kind of pulling, and don't go that way, because if you go down too much, you could snip the mesh, but you got to be very careful. But I just do cut all the way into this. Just get very careful when you get right here. So once I do that, I'm going to cut it into this one too. Just kind of hold my breath, cut very carefully. So I just cut right into the center, and then I will flip it like this, and I hold it, as you can see, like this, and I'm really like trying to get it so that it's being pulled, this part is being pulled back this way, and then I very carefully and neatly trim away the excess. And you don't want to get too close to the zigzag, because if you do, you could catch it, and then you know, you're cutting the zigzag away. So you want to just be right next to it, but not, you know, flush with it, I guess. So you just very carefully just cut it all away. And we'll go in and do the other side. Just hold it, like I said, flat like that. And then you're just trying to cut it as evenly as possible next to the zigzag line that you've done. Now you really want to take your time. Like, I've been doing this a while, that I can kind of snatch it out real quick, but if you're new to this, you're going to be very, very careful. But see, now we have that nice little cut out there. It's nice and flat, which you don't really get when you're seaming. So it's nice and flat, so it makes it really nice to bead on. All right, I'm going to cut away these other pieces, and then I'm going to show you how I do it on, well, actually, we'll look at it once I finish it. So I'm going to cut out these other pieces, and then we'll take a look at her. All right, now I'm going to show you how I do color mesh cutouts on the bodice. Now basically what I do is I cut out the bodice pattern piece. I of course do that with the liner, then glue it to the Lycra, and then I will pin on the layer of mesh on top of that. And then what I will do is I will then go in and I will zigzag around with a big zigzag around the edge where all the seams are going to be. And then as you can see, there's a style line there in blue with the blue pin. And I'm going to go and do my smaller zigzag with that. And then I can cut away the Lycra piece. So I'm going to take that over to the machine to show you. But really, with this, you can do any kind of cutout that you want. So you can have any kind of style line that you want. So sky is the limit. So you can just use this basic pattern piece that you have, whatever you have that you like the fit of on the body, and then you just draw on a style line, and you can do a million different styles when you're doing that. So you can do sweetheart, you can do a deep sweetheart, you can do a deeper sweetheart, you can do straight across, you can do a point up, you can do whatever you want, you can do asymmetrical stuff. Really, sky's the limit. So that's why, you know, it makes it easier to do this applique mesh into the bodice, because if you're doing seams, then you have to have a different pattern for each one that you're doing. Whereas this, you know, especially if you're doing a lot of dresses, you can just have the main body pattern, and then you draw on the different style lines that you want, and then you just cut away what you don't need, and you can just come up with a million things. Plus, I like how flat it lays. When you do the seam, you know, it gets a little bulkier. So when you're doing the applique way, then it makes it nice, clean, flat, easy to beat on, and you can just do any kind of design that you want, and you can get those sharp, deep points in it as well. All right, I'm going to take it over to the machine, and we'll sew it together, and then you can see how it came out. All right, now we are going to zigzag it all together. So I'm going to put it on my bigger zigzag, right? And then I'm going to start at the piece, as you can see where the lines are drawn on. I'm going to start on where the seam would be, and then I'll do the big zigzag lines around that. And then when we get to this piece, we'll do the smaller zigzag. Now I can go in with my smaller zigzag here and just follow that style line that I've created with the pin. Just like that, we have zigzagged everything in. We can take all these pins out, and then we're going to cut away piece that we don't need. So of course it's this piece up here. So I'm just going to go in, do a straight line down into that point like that, and then I can trim away the extra. Now remember, you don't want to get too close to where you have zigzagged here, because then you'll cut into those zigzags and then you'll have a little broken thread. So you just have to go right next to it and trim away all that extra fabric, and just take your time and make it as neat and clean as possible. Now we have cut it away, and see how nice that looks. Now I've just done that one zigzag line because this is one solid piece, so you don't need to do the two on this, but this looks nice and neat. So then when your skin's behind it, you see through this piece, and then it's just a nice seamless look. All right, I have one other thing to show you with doing the colored mesh, so I'm gonna split to that. All right, another option you can do with color mesh when you're trying to applique on the style lines is you may be asking, what about sleeves? Because what I just showed you is basically I cut out the bodice pattern piece. So let's say this is what that is. Cut it out on the lining. I spray glue that 505 spray on top, and then I place it onto the Lycra, and then I would place it down onto a piece of mesh, pin around, then do the zigzags, cut away what I don't need, and then it's done and ready to start sewing up the seams and putting in the elastic. Now, if you're doing sleeves, you got to do it slightly differently because you have the bodice piece, but you can't do a whole big piece of Lycra, right, that you're going to cut away. What makes it easier is if you have your bodice where the bodice piece is, and then you have your style line. So you can see here I have the blue line there, and that's basically a point up to the left shoulder. And then you have your pattern piece for the full sleeve, and you cut that out in mesh. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to lay it down, and then you can place your Lycra piece on top of that, and then you're going to pin all around like we just did on the last one, and then you can zigzag and then zigzag around the pieces you're going to cut out, and then you can have the sleeves that go into it, because I like to have the seamless sleeves, so it's all one piece. All this is one piece. You know, some people will do the bodice and then they will put in sleeves as a separate piece, but then you're seeing the seam around the armpit and then the top here. I like to have minimal seams because I think it looks nice, especially when you're skating and you have your arms out. You just see a nice clean line and you're not seeing those seams through the mesh. And so I think that looks nice. So I have to make this big pattern piece. So then I can just place it on, zigzag it around, and then that gets in the mesh over the top of that Lycra bodice piece. So easy peasy. And then you can do, just like with the other, you can do all the different style lines that you can come up with, just as long as you're covering the girls and you're not exposing the person who's wearing it. You can do whatever style lines you want. There can be millions, billions, quadrillions, different options. So it's great, and it makes it so versatile for me when I create this, because then I could just use, like I said, the same base pattern, and then I just draw on the different style lines, and so I don't have to have a bazillion patterns that do all the different style lines. I just basically have the main part that I'm cutting out, and then I have these here, which are all my style lines in all the different sizes, and I just can lay it down on whatever base pattern that there is, and it creates those same style lines. And then they're also, since I do a ready-made line, they are consistent through everything that I do, because each dress, even though it may have a different bodice pattern, is using the same style line piece that I'm drawing on. And like I said, I love doing it this way with the applique, because if you did it the seamed way, then you're making a pattern for every different style line you want, and it is just, that's a lot of patterning. And so this just keeps it so you're not doing as much patterning, and you're just basically drawing the style line that you want. Plus, like I've said, when you do the seam in, it's a little bulky around the seams. Now, if you're not doing any beading, maybe you want to do those seams and it makes it a little cleaner looking and you're not seeing those zigzags. However, for me, I just like it as flat as possible. And so I'm not sure if I said this already in this video, because I started filming this video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and then I've done a gazillion videos along with it in between that time, so I can't remember what I said currently in this video. It's kind of like I'm going in blind, so I may be repeating myself. So sorry if I'm repeating myself. However, we can repeat ourselves, and then you're really getting it nailed into this video of what I'm saying. But I like to do the mesh when it's color. I like to do just the one zigzag line, as opposed to when I'm putting in nude mesh, you have to do two, because it's two separate pieces when you're doing that, right? And when you're cutting away, the bodice piece would be here and then the nude would be here. You need to do the two zigzags on those style lines in case the top zigzags break. Then you still have some security with a second line that just gives a little extra caution there, so that you're not having a hole in it. However, when you're doing the mesh and it's all one piece going from the bodice straight up, you can just do one zigzag line, because if it does slightly break somewhere, it's still going to be held together, and it's not really going to create a big hole because there's one solid piece of mesh, so it will just still keep everything together, if that makes sense, hopefully. All right. I think that is it on this video. I think we covered everything. Right? Like I said, I started this video about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, so I'm trying to think everything I said. I think we went over how to put in the nude mesh into the bodice, yes, and then we did the colored mesh, and then we did the sleeve mesh. So I think we've covered everything. So hopefully this is helpful, and this is just the way that I do it. Of course, you may find a different way that you enjoy better. However, hopefully this opens up your mind to be like, maybe I'll try it the way Brad does it, and you find that it's easier, and you can get nice sharp lines. You can really figure out a lot of different options style-wise, and then also maybe it's quicker that you're not having to make a gazillion patterns, and you can just draw on the different style lines easier. And you can do cutouts wherever you want. Sky is the limit. Okay, with that being said, I think we're done with this video. I'll stop talking because I get to jibber-jabbering, as you know, so let's do some housekeeping. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment, because you know that helps me. That gets the algorithm going, and it sends other people my way that may not know about me. So when you like, subscribe, and comment, that really helps me. So if you're enjoying this content, please do those things so that I can get a bigger audience over here, so that we can have a lot of fun creating and stirring up our juices to make our sewing journey happen for us, and that we can all share in the fun of creating whatever our minds come up with. So like, subscribe, comment. Then if you are enjoying this content as well, you can also share. So I know a lot of you have friends who may enjoy this content, so you can share with them. And then I know a lot of you are also in Facebook groups, you're in internet groups that are sewing, stretch fabric, how to make dance costumes, how to make skating costumes, how to do whatever kind of costumes. If you think they would enjoy my videos, please share these videos with them, because, like I said, trying to build that audience. And then you can also check out my website. I have two websites. I have bradgraphies.co. That's my main website. That's where I do my ready-made or made-to-order dresses, where you can order the exact style, size, and color you want, and I can do some little customizations. You can also check out the information I would need if you want me to create a custom costume for you. So go check that out, bradgraphies.co. And then I have my stock website, and that's basically houses everything that I want to get rid of and sell to you. So that has some of my costumes on there that are ready to go if you need something quick and you don't have time to wait 6, 8, 12 weeks for me to make you something. It has my nude elastic. It has my liner fabric that I use. And then I'm adding more and more. Like I'm going to be adding crystals. I'm going to be adding some more fabric that I need to get rid of. So look at that website, bradgstock.com, and see if there's anything on there that you can use and that you think would be helpful. And then what else do I need to tell you? Amazon store. So I have an Amazon storefront, which basically is just a collection that I have curated of different items on Amazon that I use in my everyday life. Like I have the Tuffy on there, I have my 505 spray, I have airbrush, I have beading supplies, anything like that is on there that I use. And when you click on it, it supports me and it supports the channel, because it gives me a little bit of kickback. So if you're enjoying this stuff and you want to support me, go over there and see what I have and see if you can use any of it, and then just click the link and it takes you to Amazon and you can buy it. And now, as well, it does not charge you anything extra. It's still the same price whether you go to Amazon regularly or if you click through my link and then buy whatever you want. That just gives me a little bit of kickback and lets them know that I sent you over there to buy that product. So go check that Amazon store out. That is down in this description, and you can get links there, and you can get links to my website and everything. Oh, and if you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook or here on YouTube, I'm at Brad Graphies. Just search for biographies and I will show up, and you can check me out there, especially on Instagram. That's where I do the most amount of posting, where you can see close-ups of all of my costumes. You can see any notifications I want you to know about, or if it's a new video coming out, or if I have sales or new products in my stock website. So go check it out. Okay, with that being said, I think we're done, and we will go on to the next video. So hopefully you're enjoying, you like, subscribe, and comment, you share this video, and I will see you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.